If you're a fan of the 430 movie, you'll love Best Movies Never Made, hosted by myself, Josh Miller.
And Steven Scarlatta,
where we explore some of the greatest movies never made, like E.T. 2,
Johnny Quest,
Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian,
and Halloween 3D.
New episodes available every other Monday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, this isn't Bill Shatner, but if I was, I'd be listening to the Inglorious Trexperts podcast. Why don't you?
Hey, this is Mark A. Altman, and if you're a Star Trek fan and you haven't already picked up the hardcover edition of the 50-Year Mission, it's time for you to go out and get the paperback version of the 50-Year Mission, which is just out in paperback from St. Martin's Press. This is the complete oral history of Star Trek, the first 25 years, from me and Ed Gross. And if you think you know everything there is to know about Star Trek, think again. The 50-Year Mission, out in paperback now. And if you can't read, the audiobook is still available.
Electric Now? What does that mean? It means that you can watch us do these wonderful podcasts and so many other things, too.
Hey, Darren,
yes.
When I was a kid, I used to love the Electric Company. You know why? Because I knew one day Morgan Freeman would be a great actor. But if there's one thing I love about electricity that's even better than Schoolhouse Rock and the Electric Company, it's the Electric Now channel.
But also, they're turning it on and bringing the power.
Yes, they are. And we're turning you on. And no,
that's highly inappropriate.
Okay, well, we are turning on the power here at Electric Surge, where you may have, for the last year or so, been enjoying these amazing audio podcasts like Inglorious Trexperts, the 430 movie, Best Movies Never Made. Now you can watch
You
them.
ain't seen nothing yet,
No,
but
you
now
haven't
you
seen
can.
anything. You can on Electric Now, available on Stirr TV and Distro TV, which you can download from your favorite app store, and soon coming to the Electric Now app. Get to see us as you've never seen us before, because you've only seen us in the theater of the imagination. Now we're going to be on your tablet, on your telephone, on your TV, and in your house.
The call is coming from inside the house.
So make sure to check out Electric Now, streaming now on Stirr TV and Distro TV, and coming soon to the Electric Now app.
Back in the 70s and 80s, before the advent of VHS, chances are if you saw a classic movie, it was on the 430 movie. With their famous theme weeks, it was a chance to see movies you'd never seen before and get reacquainted with some old classics. So now, join us for the 430 movie.
Hello, this is Mark A. Altman. Welcome to the 430 movie. This is CAINE is Able week. And what does that mean? It means we're celebrating the work of Micahel Caine.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense now.
Micahel Caine. CAINE is Able week.
Right.
Grey suits you, Eric.
Good God.
Is he?
Jack Carter.
Eric Pace.
What you doing around here, then?
Didn't you know this was my hometown?
No, I didn't know that. So what you doing then, on your holidays?
No, I'm visiting relatives.
Well, that's nice.
But it would be if they were still living.
Meaning what?
Bereavement. Death in the family.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's all right, Eric. So who are you working for these days, Eric?
Oh, I'm straight. Respectable.
Come off it, Eric. Who is it?
What's it to you, anyway?
Well, I've always had your welfare at heart, Eric. Besides which, I'm nosy.
Well, that's not always a healthy way to be, is it?
So, you're doing all right then, Eric. You're making good.
Making a living.
Good prospects for advancement, is there? A pension? Do you know, I had almost forgotten what your eyes look like. They're still the same. Piss holes in the snow.
Still got a sense of humor.
Yeah. Yes, I retain that, Eric.
Okay, welcome to Micahel Caine week here on the 430 movie. And as always, our favorite 430 movie programmers are here to tell you about this exciting week ahead. Mr. Steve Melching.
Yes, Micahel Caine is awesome.
DAREN DOCHTERMAN.
Hi. We're gonna delve into a whole vast land of bad Micahel Caine impersonations.
And of course, Ashley Edward Miller.
Can we do it? Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Oh, my God. Do you guys watch Succession?
Yes.
I love that show. I just
too.
discovered it. I just binged the hell out of that
Is Michael
show.
Caine in that?
No, but there's this
He's in
bit,
everything else.
There's this bit where Tom, who's the dunce on that show, is going to do. They can't do "we're listening" because like their smart devices actually do listen. So they change it to "we hear you, we hear you," and it was like, do we hear you or do we? And it's like, is it HEAR? And it just like that made me think of that. I love Succession.
It's a fun show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got hooked on it after the first season finished, but before the second season started, we watched it all.
Yeah, I just finished it last night. I think it took me 3 days or something like that. It was like crazy binge. But now I got to wait till August for the new season.
Yeah.
Which is really depressing because I'm like dying for the next season because it ends on a big cliffhanger.
Surely there must be something else you can watch.
Surely.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of Michael Caine movies.
That's
right.
A whole bunch of Michael Caine movies. Let's talk about why we love Michael Caine. Steve, what is it about Michael Caine that we're devoting a whole week to him? That he's such a a couple weeks back we did Gene Hackman Fever Week,
Right.
which was a better title, and now here we are. We're talking about legendary Michael Caine.
Well, Michael Caine he's one of those actors that's just like the consummate British actor. He's one of those guys that just works. He loves to work all the time, and he's game for anything, and he just brings it to whatever movie he does. And sometimes they're awesome, and sometimes they're terrible. And he just has such an easy charisma about him, like a twinkle in his eye, that is just so appealing.
He's the actor's actor. In fact, he wrote a book on acting,
Yes.
which is sort of the indispensable. Most actors you talk to, like people say, great books written on acting is Michael Caine's book on acting, and the same way there's certain books, when the shooting stops, the cutting begins is the great book about editing. Although Paul Hirsch just came out with a new book. When it comes to screenwriting, Adventures in Screen Trade is considered the on acting is considered the great book about acting.
Was it on directing by
Mamet?
No, McKendrick.
Oh, Alexander McKendrick. Yeah. Yep. So Michael Caine, Darren, what is it about Michael Caine that
That I like about Michael Caine, he is sort of, he can be the everyman, and he can be the upper class, he can be lower class, he can do anything.
Yeah.
And he has.
Yeah.
I think
He
that's
can be the tough guy.
Yeah.
He can be the sensitive guy.
yeah. It's truly amazing that he doesn't change his, he usually doesn't change his physicality at all. He usually doesn't change his voice. He is so adept at creating a bubble of reality around himself that works with any film that he's in.
Yeah.
I urge you to pause this podcast right now and go to YouTube and look for, there is a videoed acting class that Michael Caine is teaching, and it is absolutely riveting.
Wow.
It's about it's either a half hour or maybe 40 minutes, and it is so amazing to see his process and how he conveys this to these young actors in the scene. It's truly amazing, and he is, even in lousy movies, he's great.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley, this is a guy who, he started as, he was like the Tom Cruise. I mean, in Alfie, he was the guy everyone wanted. Just super handsome. And now, of course, he's older, he's more seasoned. He became just this great character. He went from a leading man to a character actor to like one of our grand, the Mount Rushmore of stars. What is it about Michael Caine that for you is like resonates? That says, oh, this is one of our greatest actors.
Well, he's sort of like, as we were suggesting, he's kind of the Swiss Army knife of actors, right? He's got all the attachments. He can even be a pair of scissors, which is crazy. I think I mentioned this during Hackman Fever Week, but a movie scene that sticks with me to this day is from PCU, and I think it's Jeremy Piven's character who is doing his thesis on how at any time, day or night, you can turn on the television and find a movie starring Gene Hackman or Michael Caine. And I think if you look at Michael Caine's filmography, the truth of that is borne out. But what I love about this guy is he always feels human, accessible, and anything that he says feels true, which is why I think in something like the Nolan Batman movies, whether he is just, bringing Mr. Wayne, a glass of water, or he is telling a story about, hunting, a terrorist in the jungle, you completely believe that it's the same guy, because whatever it is that Michael Caine is doing, it's just, I don't want to say that it's magical, but he so fully commits, and he has such gravitas, but he does it without pushing, right? It's natural. There's no push. It's there.
This is a guy, you talk about how in so many movies. I mean, there is a cliche that Michael Caine says no to nothing. Most infamously, when he won the Oscar, he wasn't able to accept because he was filming Jaws: The Revenge in the Bahamas.
There's a great quote about that where he said, I've never seen Jaws: The Revenge, but I have seen the house that it bought for me.
That's right. And then, so he has a real sense of humor about, his career and among many, many very awful films, he's never been awful in any of them.
Yeah. He has such charm and such panache and style, and he's just always riveting to watch on screen.
And he's always enjoying himself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what Michael Caine week looks like. Steve Melching Monday.
This is a tough week because, as we said, this is a man whose career now, it started in the mid-50s. So he's been making films for just decades. And he works a lot. So he's got a vast filmography, and a lot of those movies are really good. And so this was very tough because he is one of my favorite actors. But there is one film in particular of his that I always gravitated to. It's one that I discovered one summer when I was working as a clerk in a video rental store in Colorado when I was home from college, from film school. And this was in the late 80s, and I saw this film on the shelf, and
Educating Rita.
Yeah, and I saw, and I had become a Michael Caine fan at this point. I'd seen a few of his films on TV, but there was another film that had come out recently that I think may be a selection here today, so I won't mention it, but it made me a huge fan of his. So I saw him, and then I saw his co-star in it was another one of my favorite actors, Sean Connery. So, of course, I'm talking about 1975's The Man Who Would Be King. Just a terrific adventure film directed by and written by John Huston and co-starring Christopher Plummer as Rudyard Kipling. And it's an adaptation of the Kipling short story about these two sort of roguish British soldiers in the British controlled colonial India, deciding their latest scheme is to go to the mythical country of Kafiristan and become kings and live out their remaining days as kings. And they have this whole plan how they're going to go there with some rifles, and as the plan unfolds, they make allies in one town and train them to be soldiers, and then march on that village's enemies and absorb their warriors into their growing army until they do kind of achieve their goal with a shocking twist that's tied into Freemasonry, where Sean Connery is suddenly believed to be a god, and they decide to play this con and maintain this con that Sean Connery is a god. And
well, he is.
Yeah. Well.
But he had the cancer and he lost it.
But I just adore this movie. It's a great, epic, fun adventure movie filmed on location in Morocco, standing in for Kafiristan, which is sort of located in Afghanistan, Pakistan, that area up above the Khyber Pass, it's just a terrific film that John Huston had been trying to make for 20 years at that point. He had originally envisioned it with Clark Gable and Humphrey Bogart in those two roles. Then he couldn't get it off the ground, and one of them, I think both of them died before then, so he then was going to make it with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas.
Wow.
That didn't
would've
come
been
together.
fascinating.
Yeah. Then he
I
had...
see any version of those.
Yeah.
Those are all
I
sound
know.
great.
Well, there's two more. So the next version was going to star Richard Burton and Peter O'Toole.
Wow.
That one didn't come together, and then he was starting to put it together with Robert Redford and Paul Newman.
Wow.
And Paul Newman apparently said, you can't make this film without British actors.
Right.
And Newman apparently was the one who recommended Connery and Caine.
Hello, Newman.
That's a big, we got to do Paul Newman week one week. But man, talk about a class act.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he started his businesses, gave all the money to charity.
Yeah.
But he's great too.
It's a brilliant idea, and it's hard. I mean, as fascinating as those other pairings are, playing the characters of Peachy Carnahan and Daniel Dravit, it's hard to imagine it without Connery and Caine, and both those men were kind of peaking in their stardom. Connery had just finished his run as James Bond, and Michael Caine had done the Harry Palmer films and the
and Alfie, which was his,
and the Italian Job, and he was becoming a star at that point as well, and they're just perfect in these roles.
Great chemistry,
yeah. And the film received 4 Oscar nominations, nominated for screenplay, art direction, costumes, and editing. It didn't win any of them, but it won in my heart.
When you mention that film, it always makes me think of the SCTV parody that they did.
Yes.
Called The Man Who Would Be King of the Popes.
Yes.
And not only did it have Connery and Michael Caine in it, but it also had, I think he did Richard. Yeah, great, thank you.
Richard Burton?
Richard Burton. And a bunch of other amazing British actors all squashed into this movie, and it's so hilarious just seeing Dave Thomas and Joe Flaherty go at it against each other. It's amazingly funny. Look it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this film apparently was the favorite film that Connery and Caine made. They often cite it as their favorite film of their filmography.
I'm sure they had a blast working on it.
Yeah. It certainly seemed like they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might be the case that they had a little more fun making it than we have watching it. Because it's not a great film. It's a very good film, and it's an entertaining film.
Yeah.
But I always had the sense that they had a great time doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that it's not a great film with a capital F and like an E after the M, a film.
Are you saying it's like a roller coaster ride?
It is like a roller coaster ride. No, but I think it is like
a theme park.
It's a great goddamn movie.
Yeah.
It's an adventure.
And I had not seen it until about maybe 20 years ago, and I watched it because one of my showrunners had the poster, had the one sheet up on his office wall. And I thought, you know what? If you love a movie enough that you're going to put it up on your office wall, you are telling me something about you that I'd better learn. So, I went and I watched it, and I went, oh, okay, now I actually understand him perfectly.
I have that poster hanging in my home.
Okay, well, now I understand you perfectly.
And I got it. And our friend Alan Spencer took it to the set of Austin Powers.
I don't understand that at all. No, I'm kidding.
And got Michael Caine to sign it.
Wow.
That's awesome. So it's
Oh,
signed
my
by
God,
Michael
that's
Caine.
great.
Now, if you can only get Sean to sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
I'm
You're
not
not going to get John
signing
Huston, but maybe Danny Houston can sign it for you, who's also great in Succession.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. It's a great pick because not only is it a great movie, but also Michael Caine, as you said, the favorite movie in his filmography. So it's a wonderful way to start us off. And I remember the heyday of home video. There was always that shelf, and it was very popular. One of those initial it was early in the days of home video where it was put out on home video, and you could always see the Man Who Would Be King on.
The painting kind of the poster art really kind of cracks me up because it's this picture of the two of them, big on the image and holding rifles.
Yeah.
And Micahel Caine looks like he's gazing at Sean Connery with love hearts in his eyes, like gazing lovingly on this
popping
man.
hearts.
It's so funny.
I just love the fact that it's James Bond and Harry Palmer together.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
So Tuesday, Darren Docterman.
Tuesday. I was so nervous that you were going to pick the one that I had in mind. Thank goodness you didn't. This is from a couple years earlier, from 1972, and it is a tour de force of acting and making a stage play into a feature film. It co-stars Laurence Olivier.
Oh, okay.
And it is Sleuth.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite films. The script is brilliant, and the way that it's directed is very clever and a little bit sort of avant-garde, a tiny bit. But it is so wonderful watching these two men go at each other. And I'm not going to give any spoilers because you have to see it because it's all spoiler.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say that Laurence Olivier plays an older man who has invited this younger man to lunch, and things happen, and then something big happens, and then we're in a different movie, and you'll see when you see it. You should watch it right now because it's absolutely amazing.
Such a great vague description.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because there are so many ins and outs, and talk about a roller coaster ride. You feel as if you've been on one after this movie is over.
And it was remade many, many years later. And he's not talking about the remake. He's talking about the original based
one.
On the stage play.
Yes.
With Laurence Olivier and
Micahel Caine, because Micahel Caine is not. Yeah, he's great. He's great in it, and Sir Larry is pretty good too. As it turns out.
Imagine that.
This is another one I will freely admit I have not seen, and I'm adding it to my list.
Excellent.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, you should. I saw Sleuth. That literally, I think, was one of the first films that Warner Home Video put out on home video. And I think the only reason I saw it was there were so few things in the video store at that point that had been put out.
And you know what? I think it actually was on the 4:30 movie.
Oh, I think it was too. I think it was on the 4:30 movie.
I'm pretty sure it was.
But I remember with those green oversized boxes, Warner Home Video. It was like in that first wave of titles they came out with for rental, and that's when I think that's the first and last time I saw it. So I really remember very little about the movie, other than the fact that it was awesome.
Yeah. It makes you feel
Young.
Who directed it?
Joseph L. Mankiewicz.
Oh, Joseph Mankiewicz.
Joseph
That's
L.
right.
Mankiewicz.
Is that the last film he ever directed?
I'm not sure. I
Because, of
think
course,
it may
Mankiewicz
very
did
well be.
All About Eve, Cleopatra. Brilliant writer and director.
Yeah.
But it was very late in his career.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And just watching, for an actor's lesson alone, the way that they are able to, take this very specific dialogue and make it real and put meaning into everything.
Now, Steve, wasn't that written by Schaffner, who's the same writer of Amadeus?
No, it's a different. Hold on, let me tell you.
Check, because
Anthony Schaefer.
Yeah, Anthony Schaefer, but didn't he write Amadeus?
I don't think so.
The play.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I'll go to Google and
Let's
keep
go to
talking.
Google.
Yeah. No, look, that's a fantastic choice, though.
The script is amazing, and the twists and turns that you don't expect are really surprising. And there is a part in the movie where you realize something's going on and something seems fishy, but you don't know why, and you don't know the reasons for it. But as they are revealed, it's all great.
It's funny, these drawing room kind of things. There's a cliche. They don't make them like this anymore. They really don't make movies like this anymore.
They do not.
They
do not.
And
it takes place basically in one room.
Yeah, It's based on a play.
It's a stage play.
Yeah, and it's not. They don't really, and it's good because sometimes on stage plays they really jump through hoops to open them up. To,
Right.
You know, and there's all the stuff that's added. That's
But thank God this doesn't.
Yeah.
And you don't feel any less for it. It feels completely expansive because of what's going on in the story.
Yeah. No, that's.
Yeah, no, the Amadeus was written by Peter Schaefer.
Peter Schaefer. Okay, and this was Anthony
Anthony
Schaefer.
Schaefer.
Maybe they were brothers. We don't know.
We don't know.
We
They
can't
don't
say.
even know.
Somebody will tell
Maybe
us.
they were the same person using a different first name.
That's right. Maybe retired for like a month, then came
Right.
back and had to have a different name.
But I
Still
do think it was Joseph Mankiewicz's last movie. I do think
Okay.
about that, but I could be wrong. So anyway,
No doubt someone on Twitter will tell us.
no doubt, or they'll tell us they'll still be going on about Scorsese and Coppola.
Right.
So okay, so that's Tuesday. So
That's
Wednesday, that brings us to Ashley Miller, who as of late has been going straight down the middle. It'll be very interesting to see what his pick for Michael Caine week is on Wednesday, because there's so many great mainstream choices, and then there are a lot of off the wall choices as well. So
There are so many choices and things that I would pick. I mean, things that I could pick, but I wouldn't necessarily be picking them for Michael Caine. You know, for example, there are movies I could talk about that would involve me really just wanting to talk about Batman.
Sure.
And this should be about Michael Caine.
right.
Also, you know, the movie that made the biggest impression on me that Michael Caine made when I was a lad, like I could not stop watching this film. It was so beautifully shot. It had amazing production values, and I'm pretty sure the performances were great. I know they were great because even when I turned the sound down really low because it was very late and I didn't want my parents to know I was watching it, I still loved Blame It on Rio. But I'm not going to pick that. I'm stealing your joke, Mark. But by God, I'm not going to pick that. I felt the need to share.
No, I think you got to get Blame It on Rio in there somehow.
Somehow.
With Michelle Johnson and
Demi Moore is
Demi
playing his
Moore,
daughter. That's crazy.
And Demi Moore's his daughter, and it's awful, but there's a lot of really.
It's really watchable.
It's really watchable. I love you
watchable.
didn't want your parents to know you were watching it. It's that kind of movie, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it is. Oh, it's hard to be Michael Caine.
And because this is a talk about a movie that would never get made today.
Oh my God.
I mean, he has an affair with Michelle Johnson, his daughter's best friend.
She's like 17.
Oh my God.
And his best friend's daughter, and they're like, it's just a whole.
And they're all down there on vacation. And Joseph Bologna finds out he's having sex with his daughter.
Right.
They're not on a private island, are they?
They're in Rio. They're in
No.
Rio.
Okay, just
Yeah.
making
Blame it
sure.
on Rio.
Bologna, man, against Michael Caine just gets blown off the screen.
Oh, I know.
You know
He
what I'm saying?
doesn't stand a chance
Against Michael Caine, right? It's like, oh man. So that's what
Shakespeare guy.
that is. Yeah, I'm not picking any of those. But instead,
Just say Jaws
too-
3. Just say it.
The Revenge. No, I'm not. You can't make me. You're not my real dad.
Don't put words in his mouth. He's going to get there. Give him some time.
I am choosing a literary adaptation from I think the middle of Michael Caine's career. An adaptation, a film adaptation of a beloved novel that's been adapted many times. He's hardly the first actor to essay this role, or perhaps in some ways the most famous. I think most people associate George C. Scott with this particular role.
Patton.
Yes, Patton. Michael Caine is Patton. I am choosing 1992's The Muppet Christmas Carol. For a whole bunch of reasons.
Yep.
'Cause you know
Ashley's
what?
back.
He's
Yeah,
back. He's back.
with a vengeance. It's that time of year, and I'm in a
Sure.
festive holiday mood.
Sure.
B, how can you go wrong with the Muppets?
Well, you'd be surprised.
Well, yeah, you can. But it was dark. We were
Did you
drunk.
see Muppets Most Wanted?
Yeah, exactly. And C, it's like it's Michael Caine playing Ebenezer Scrooge with adorable puppets. I mean, how do you
Muppets
not
to you, sir.
yes, true. But how do you not love that? How do you not? You
You have to have a pretty cold heart.
You really do. No, look. I know this is not the best of the Muppet movies. I know this is not the best.
No, because we all
Christmas
know
Carol.
the Muppets French Connection is the best.
Yeah,
of them.
it is. But this is kind of my favorite because it's just so weird and off the wall, and it's Kermit the Frog as Bob Cratchit, and Michael Caine. You talk about how Michael Caine commits, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even in this, he commits.
He's the
to
only
this movie.
human being in this movie, surrounded by puppets.
Exactly.
by Muppets.
And you would never believe from his performance that he is like looking down at the material or his co-stars. He just seems so damn glad to be there,
Yes.
right? And how exciting must it be? Like, you just love him. It's like you almost find it impossible to kind of hate Ebenezer Scrooge at the beginning of that film because Michael Caine is he's so great. It's just... God help me.
He is 100% present in all those scenes with the Muppets. He just commits. He is a pro, and he's having a great time and doing a really terrific performance as Scrooge.
That's right.
It's a delight.
Can I just say, when we did the Muppet French Connection, we recorded that episode the week before Saturday Night Live. Did you see this?
Yes.
Saturday Night Live
Grouch.
did this brilliant
Grouch, yeah.
thing. Was Oscar? I think it was Oscar. Or was it Grouch?
No, it was
It was
Grouch,
Grouch,
yeah.
where they did a parody of the Joker with the Muppet characters, which is
were ahead
maybe
of
the
them.
best thing they've done in 10 years.
Yeah.
It was so on point. It was great. Really, I mean, it was David Harbour, and I mean, it was so great. The Ernie and Bert stuff. I mean, just so good. But we did it first. I just want to make clear we did it first.
Damn right we did.
Yeah. Wow. Christmas
but
Carol.
By the way, if we did Muppet French Connection and Muppet Christmas Carol, then we would have Michael Caine and Gene Hackman.
Right.
Like, any
That would be
time
great.
of day in the holidays. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve.
You ever pick your feet in Poughkeepsie? No, I actually went to a test screening of this movie before it came out. I believe Brian Henson directed
Yes, he
it.
did.
And I remember seeing him in the lobby, and I was not 100% on board with this because this was the first Muppet project that was done in the wake of Jim Henson's death, and which hit me really hard, and I think probably hit Darren really hard too. Jim Henson was, I don't know. I actually cried when I heard the news that he died because I was so upset.
Well, you guys are huge Muppet
Massive
fans.
fan of Muppets and Jim Henson. He's just seemed like the coolest guy.
And he died so young.
Yeah, so young and needlessly. So I had a little chip on my shoulder that this is Kermit the Frog, but it's not Jim. Right. To that point, Jim had been the only person that ever performed Kermit the Frog, and this was what's his name? Steve Whitmire, who claimed to have been groomed by Jim and trained to take on that role. There's some debate about that, but Whitmire became the caretaker of that role for a number of years until recently. So I kind of was watching that film with my arms crossed a little bit, even as much as I love the Muppets and Michael Caine, but I've since come around, and I think it's a delightful movie, and I look forward to watching it every Christmas.
How come we didn't talk about that during Christmas week?
Forgot about it.
Yeah, that would have been a good, good film for Christmas week.
There's a lot of Christmas movies out.
Yeah, a lot of Christmas cheer to spread around on the 4:30 movie. It's a good choice.
Thank you.
Good choice. Unfortunately, that brings me to Thursday.
Yes.
Well,
and your various choices.
No, I don't have a lot of choices. I do have something to say, however.
I think I know what your pick is.
Climate change is a real problem. And as we know, the fact that bees are being killed off around the world.
Awesome.
So I would say would make me want to pick The Swarm. Perhaps, certainly Irwin Allen's worst movie, but maybe one of the worst movies of all time, which is only
perfect 4:30
redeemed
movie.
by a brilliant Jerry Goldsmith score. But I think that would be disrespectful to the career of, because this isn't a roast. We're not roasting Michael Caine.
I got to say, though, that movie was very much of its time, of that disaster genre. And I saw it when I was a kid. And as someone who's bee-phobic, that movie scared the crap out of me. The idea that there's this unstoppable swarm of killer bees that are going to sting us to death.
Well, it was
That's
ahead of its
terrifying.
time.
Yes.
They presaged the killer bees before the killer bees actually arrived
the-
in
and
America.
And the X-Files.
The gravitas of Michael Caine in that role in The Swarm, it made you believe that those bees are
Jaws, the
coming.
revenge.
No. Obviously, that's not my pick.
Okay.
The problem for me, however, is that often with this show, it's a game of poker. I have the good fortune to be the last person to pick. So I have to kind of figure in my head what do I anticipate will proceed? So I'm prepared with a pick, and also, when there's a plethora of choices that I also, can figure, okay, this is what I think Steve is going to pick. This is what I think Darren's going to pick. I have no idea what he's going to pick. but so I kind of misjudged this week. I kind of misjudged. I was kind of hoping that Steve or you, which I expected, one of you would go with Get Carter. I kind of was hoping.
It's on my list.
I was hoping because, of course, Get Carter is one of my absolute favorite Michael Caine movies. My favorite. This is not the Sylvester Stallone remake, by the way. This is the Michael Caine original. So I was a little disappointed that Get Carter was not represented because clearly I only have one choice for Michael Caine week.
Right. But I was counting on you to pick it because it's one of my
You
personal
think I'm
favorites.
so damn predictable.
Yes.
You
That's
think
a very definition
I'm
of
going to go
predictable.
with one film.
But he's going to do a switcheroo.
Just when you think victory is in your grasp. Just when
You pick
Just when you
victory?
think it's safe to go back in the water.
I was going to say,
This is your gambit, isn't it?
this is my gambit. Steve, this is your funeral in Berlin.
You are a dirty, rotten scoundrel, Mark.
Steve, I don't like this. You're really on dangerous ground now.
We're all children of men here.
Oh, my goodness.
But you're dressed to kill, Ashley.
Thank you. You should have seen the coat I was wearing earlier.
did
It was
we
hairy,
not-
brown.
How did we not talk about Dress to Kill on Psycho Killer Week?
Because it's
Oh, come on.
It's not. It's not.
You're right. It's not. But for us not to talk about it, I mean, it's one of the great Psycho ripoffs of all time. Angie Dickinson looks great.
Second only to the Psycho ripoff called Psycho.
Yeah.
Come on. You got to give, look, regardless of everything that's wrong and overheated about Dress to Kill, it's De Palma.
Like every
vintage
frame.
De Palma, Hitchcock. I mean, God, is that the way he moves the camera? It's just a visual tour de force, even though it's an awful movie. I said it. It's an awful movie.
awful.
But let's, we come here to honor Caine, not to
Not
bury
bury
him. So praise Caine. But look, you all know my pick. I don't even have to say it.
Not even the rain has such small hands.
Damn right.
Raising Caine.
Damn motherfucking damn right. E.E. Cummings. Not even the rain has such small. How many times did I go to the Strand bookstore and buy that freaking E.C. Cummings collection of poetry for a girl?
Can I pause this for a second? I just like to point out that in the last couple of shows, the F-bomb has been dropped twice. Neither of them have come from me.
Okay, well, I apologize.
Well,
for
aren't
using
we very
profanity.
proud of you?
Well, I actually had owned that. This is like, of course,
We still haven't said the
said
name
the title
of
of
the
the
title.
movie.
Yeah,
We're not going to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we don't
We
have
don't
to.
know.
We're going to keep talking.
I actually had that edition of E. Cummings poetry on my shelf when I saw this movie.
Tear stained?
Oh, I had it after I saw
Really
this movie.
saved on capital letters.
Now, we have the luminous meter for actresses that we feel radiate a certain degree of luminous. Barbara Hershey in
my
this movie
Yeah, absolutely.
shatters the meter. She goes beyond
Radiant?
beyond luminosity into a whole nother adjective. I don't know what that adjective is, but it's a whole nother adjective. So, of course, the movie that I'm talking about is one of a master filmmaker at the top of his craft. A lot of times people say, "Oh, the early funny ones," or "Oh, after Annie Hall, Manhattan." It's like, stop with the nonsense. Have you even seen a movie by Woody Allen? Yeah. Clearly, all you people on the internet bashing have never even seen these films. Hannah and Her Sisters is freaking amazing.
It is.
Movie. Yeah. But we're here to talk about Michael Caine, and Michael Caine is so good in Hannah and Her Sisters as this man.
Even though he's miscast, he doesn't seem like he's miscast.
Right. He doesn't seem miscast. Exactly. He's an accountant. Who is falls in love with his wife's sister.
Yeah.
And his wife is played by Mia Farrow. Mm-hmm. I don't mention that word mixed company very often, but played by Mia Farrow. But Barbara Hershey is so good, and of course Diane Wiest is the third sister, who is also phenomenal.
How can you not fall in love with Barbara Hershey in that movie? She is
it's an imperative.
Yeah. I have my answer.
Yeah. What am I? And I'm
walking on air.
And of course, Mia Farrow is Woody Allen's ex-wife in the movie. So Michael Caine, she traded up after Woody Allen. She goes to Michael Caine, and it is just. So, and it's another one of these kind of schizophrenic A/B like Crimes and Misdemeanors, but the two stories merge much more successfully than Crimes and Misdemeanors, where it's like two different movies.
Yeah.
There's like a drama in that and a comedy. In this
is fully formed.
Yeah. There's the Michael Caine storyline. And then there's also, Woody Allen, who's diagnosed with what he thinks is a terminal illness, and he embraces religion, and he quits his job, doing as a TV writer.
Sketch show.
It's Saturday Night Live type stuff.
Yeah, it's so fun. Julie Kavner's in it, so great.
Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
Carrie Fisher's wonderful.
Yeah.
In fact, I should have made that little roller skating joke about the Guggenheim, but it's. I remember one time I met Carrie Fisher.
That's from LA Story.
Yeah.
No, that's from Hannah.
No,
it's from Hannah Sisters. And maybe it was used again in LA Story, but it was definitely in Hannah. So, the one time I met Carrie Fisher, it's like, she's so used to people coming up and saying how much they loved her at Star Wars. I said, I loved you in Hannah Sisters.
What did she say?
Thank you. Oh. And then she threw glitter on me.
She said that was LA Story.
Carrie Fisher's great in it, obviously. And it's very similar because then when Harry Met Sally came out a year or two later,
yeah.
And it's similar, but, in that she's married to Bruno Kirby. And this, they're both trying to, her and Diane Wiest are trying to go out with this architect played by Sam Waterston.
Right.
And he gives this wonderful tour of New York. And it's just such a great travelogue of New York, of this montage of different buildings. I think it was Carlo De Palma who shot that one. I'm not 100% sure offhand. But beautifully shot, beautiful looking. It's also a great snapshot of the city at the time. Tower Records figures prominently on the Upper West Side, which I used to shop at a lot. And so whenever feeling nostalgic for that era of New York, I always love to see them going to Tower Records, long gone. It's even more of an elegy for Tower Records to me than All Things Must Pass. It's like I just turn on Hannah and see Tower Records. It's like, because that was my Tower Records, not like the one on Sunset.
Right.
But I love Hannah Sister, and Michael Caine is so good in it, and I love. Because Barbara Hershey is dating Max von Sydow.
Oh, yeah.
As an artist. I don't sell my art by the yard. And
if Jesus Christ came back and saw what was being done in his name, he
would
never stop
throwing up. Truer words have never been spoken.
I adore this movie. It may be my favorite Woody Allen movie. It's certainly top 3.
I think it is mine.
And I saw it at a time when I hated Woody Allen because Annie Hall had the temerity to beat Star Wars for Best Picture. Yeah. So screw that guy. I'm not watching any of his movies. To hell with him.
I had the same thing.
And then Hannah and Her Sisters came out, and Siskel and Ebert gave such a good review, and Michael Caine was in it. So I thought, and it played, I think I saw it at USC in the DKA screening series.
I think I saw it there, too. So
that's where I went and saw it, and it was a revelation. I was smitten instantly, just like Michael Caine and Barbara Hershey. I just love this movie and proceeded to buy the screenplay of it.
Yep.
And then I went to the cinema library and watched every Woody Allen movie in the collection and became, a lifelong fan. But it was this movie that
I had the
made
same
me love
thing.
it.
I would not watch a Woody Allen movie because he beat Star Wars. Yeah. And then I think when home video, I saw Manhattan for the first time in Annie Hall, and then by the time Hannah came out, I was in college and I was already a huge Woody Allen
I was
fan.
too young to probably have appreciated the Woody Allen movies prior
at
to
the
that
time.
anyway.
Oh yeah, right, sure.
So say for example, we knew someone hypothetically who didn't really, watch Woody Allen movies. But would you say that this one is the gateway drug?
No.
What is the gateway drug?
Depending on who that person is, if that person looked a lot like you.
Right. What if that person really liked Muppets and also Michelle Johnson?
Well, then this might be the gateway drug because Barbara Hershey looks a lot like Michelle Johnson in Believe It on Rio in this.
You can't go wrong with Annie Hall.
You can't go wrong. But you know what? You know what I think would be good for him? Zelig.
Oh, Zelig.
That's true.
I think Zelig would be good for him.
Or the one with Jeff Daniels.
Purple Rose of Cairo?
Purple Rose of Cairo.
Yeah, but Purple Rose of Cairo isn't a comedy per se. I mean, it is, but it's like it's such a melancholia to it.
That's true.
It's a little bit of an. I think it's.
I
Woody's
like
favorite
melancholy
movie.
movies, so I
I
love that one.
And of course, everything you always wanted to know about sex is a good one too for someone who wants a comedy.
Yeah, but I think Love and Death would be better for him than everything you love.
Maybe.
Because he's smart. He's smart.
He's smart, not like everybody says. You know, you can't go wrong with any of these movies.
Okay.
I think Hannah and Her Sisters is a very good civilian movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
a
it's
romantic
very accessible.
drama. It's got romance.
Yeah.
It's got melancholy.
No, it's a good
humor.
pick.
Okay.
But Match Point is good. Blue Jasmine is good.
Yep.
Midnight in Paris is good for the newcomer gateway drug. Hannah's probably Hannah.
just love her.
I would say Hannah, but I do think Zelig for him
Okay.
would be good.
Watch them both at the same time.
Right.
They're
Simultaneously.
short.
I'd want to
I mean, most of his movies are super short, so
Yeah.
it's like
You don't ever say they're welcome. It's not like Robert Altman sometimes, or it's like you go to a Robert Altman. Like I went to see Dr. T and the Women, and it was like a 90-minute movie. When I walked out, like I could have sworn that 3 hours had gone by. Like, and I looked at my watch. I was like, how the hell has it only been 90 minutes?
You needed to shave.
Yeah, I
Robert
did.
Altman movies are real hit or miss. I mean,
Yeah, they are.
It's. I mean, I think that there's as much as people say, oh, he lost his touch. I mean, his batting average is pretty damn good. I mean,
Yeah, no, to throw any real shade at Robert Altman. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah.
That's a good
but
one.
anyway, but Hannah isn't my pick. No,
Oh, that's
I'm kidding.
hilarious. Okay.
You're funny.
Yeah,
Funny
I'm kidding.
guy.
Yeah, no. So my pick for Thursday is Woody Allen's Hannah and Her Sisters.
For which Michael Caine
won
won
an
the Oscar
and was
that
not
he
able
was-
to accept.
Yeah,
Right.
And he's so good in it, isn't he, Steve?
he's terrific.
And just what a great cast, and his narration and just it's just
Great use of music.
chapter
It all
titles.
comes together in that one.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, so Friday, so many possibilities.
Oh my God.
So many possibilities. And it's like, do we give the booby prize and give it to one like the Swarm or something? I say no.
We've had our fun with the Swarm.
We
Yes, we
have. Victory is tremendously underrated. Pele and Sylvester
Victory is
Stallone
great.
and Michael Caine.
I spent a whole summer of my grandparents, and they had HBO. It was my first experience with HBO, and I think they were running Victory a lot that year. So I saw Victory.
That was along with Risky Business, and there were one or two. Victory was on all the time.
Right. Like
all the time.
Beastmaster, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
used to be HBO stood for Hey, Beastmaster's on.
Yeah. No,
It's a good callback to last season.
Yeah.
On the 4th movie.
Last season on the 4:30 movie.
Victory was on all the time.
I want to throw out my vote for The Italian Job
It's a good choice.
Okay.
because it's so much fun
A classic.
and he's great in it.
Yep.
The original Italian Job. Well, I'm just saying for our
There's a-
audience, not
there's
for
more
you.
than
Doesn't
one?
have him in it.
Yeah, the Mark Wahlberg remake.
Oh yes, that's right. That's why it isn't in my brain.
Italian Job's great. I would put Get Carter up against. I think he's because if you're looking at performance, like Italian Job is super fun and delightful, and it's a confection, and it's great. But man, in Get Carter, he is so scary because in Get Carter he plays a guy who's a mobster who goes back to the town where he grew up after his brother, who he didn't even like, is killed because he feels that's what you have to do and find out what happened to his brother because he thinks there's this cover up. And he's dealing with all these, this working class, blue collar town and, people he used to know. And he is just so, the way he carries himself, he's so intimidating.
It's like a British Terminator.
He doesn't. He's like the British Terminator, and he's not physically imposing.
Yeah.
It's like that scene where he goes to the racetrack and he goes, "You know what, Eric? Your eyes look like pistols in the snow." It's just like he's dealing with all these mobsters, but he seems like the most dangerous of all of them.
Oh yeah, it's all presence, and it's a thing that he brings back to great effect in Harry Brown, which was like 5 or 6 years ago, and that's just a great little movie that somehow went under the radar, but it's incredibly cool. It's essentially like Gran Torino, but with like a British accent, and he doesn't yell at anybody to get off his lawn because he doesn't have a lawn. What he does have is a tunnel that goes underneath the sewer.
Well, Harry Brown was an intentional homage to Get Carter. When he
Yeah,
made
it felt
it
like
was a
it.
throwback to that.
He's like this crusty guy living in a housing block and getting It's terrific.
Plus, I love the score to Get Carter, too.
Oh, the soundtrack album is terrific.
That whole scene where he arrives on the train at the beginning, it's a great use of music and visuals. And, Mike Hodges directed it. It's really well directed. And just amazing dialogue, too. It's so quotable. In fact, the soundtrack album has a bunch of dialogue because the dialogue, it's like a Tarantino movie.
And I love the it's filmed up in Newcastle in the north of England, so it's that oppressively gray, overcast, gritty.
You mean a Tarantino movie is like
Yeah,
Carter.
it's funny. I almost corrected myself. It's really funny you said that because I was going to say the same thing. I caught myself and I didn't say it, and you said it. So, but yeah, Italian Job is definitely Get Carter a possibility.
There were two roles that he did back-to-back, two films that he did back-to-back that are just amazing, one of which I think is really, truly what I would throw out for the Friday pick, Zulu and Alfie, right? Two completely different kinds of films for certain, two very different
Love
characters.
to see them edited together.
Don't you want to see that, right? Or at least see the double feature of Zulu and Alfie? Which one do you like?
We're talking about the original Alfie, not the Jude Law remake, by the way.
Yeah. Of course not. No, I believe that he was nominated for an Academy Award for Alfie, and rightly so, because all the stuff that we just said about him in Get Carter. I mean, you see a lot of that in Zulu, right? You see that stoicism, you see the intelligence, you see all of those things, like the grace under pressure, all of that. But the thing in Alfie that you get is this incredible accessibility. But without losing the sense that he is a fully functional adult, right? He's not. There's nothing about him that is less masculine than he is in Get Carter or in Zulu. But at the same time, he's just so light on his feet. Right. And it's very difficult to find actors who can do both of those things. And it's just, to me, that's what's most amazing about Micahel Caine, is that he's so comfortable playing either side of that street. And I think that maybe that's why he's effective on both sides of that street.
And he also plays Austin Powers' dad.
Yeah, he does.
Which I wish they had done more with.
Yes.
I wanted to see a Last Crusade movie with the two of them going on an adventure.
That would have been great. And, because, of course, the glasses that he wears are based on Harry Palmer's glasses from the Harry Palmer movies, which I would also, we talked a little bit about on Spy Week a couple of weeks back, but Funeral in Berlin, even more so than the Ipcress File, is he's really good in that. Yeah. And, he's sent to help this Russian general defect to the West in Berlin, and who he's trying to figure out if he's playing both sides of the fence. And it's a really great Cold War movie, but he's really great in it. There's this Israeli spy that he is shacking up with, and he's so good in that. And that to me is like a real espionage, because Ipcress File I love, but it's like a sci-fi espionage movie, whereas and Billion Dollar Brain is just wackadoodle nonsense. But Funeral in Berlin is like a really cool espionage thriller, and it has that arch Micahel Caine cool humor. But what Ashley said about Alfie, that's the film that made him a star. That's a very important movie for Micahel Caine. He goes from being sort of a character actor, sort of flying under the radar, to becoming a massive worldwide star.
And, of course, there's a number of films that he played more of a supporting role in that he's terrific in, whether it's, the Batman, the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, which he plays a terrific version of Alfred.
Alfie.
Alfred.
What's it all about, Alfred?
And that's how hard to make that Alfred resonate. He really does.
Yeah.
He really
Jeremy
does.
Irons got lost.
Yeah.
Charles Napier was probably his...
That's not Charles
Not
Napier.
Charles Napier. Alan Napier. Alan Napier.
I would have liked to see
Michael
Napier.
Gow was great, but he was essentially just a presence that supported the story.
But
Caine was like the heart of those
he
movies.
really was. He's like the sounding board
Until the last movie.
Right,
where
when he went off
they
screen
throw
way
his
too soon.
character
Yeah.
away.
Well, but then at the end, I know you guys aren't fans of the last movie, but then at the end when he shows up again, he brings back some of the heart there, and you see how important Alfred is. So Michael Caine did a lot with a little.
Master Bruce.
He probably was the best Alfred.
Oh yeah,
I think,
no question.
Agreed. Of them all, he was terrific.
One Alfred to rule them all.
And then of course
I don't know. My vote's for Alan Napier.
He was great in Children of Men.
Mm-hmm.
I would call that it's not a Michael Caine movie, but he plays a key supporting role in the movie, and he's terrific.
That's a
in it.
great movie.
And he's good in Cider House Rules, even though I don't like the movie.
Yeah.
But you could say that about a lot of Michael Caine movies, right?
Exactly.
He's good even though you don't like the movie.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's a film that I think Darren and I are both fond of, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, so
Where he
good.
co-stars with Steve Martin as one of the titular scoundrels, and he's great. He's the really charming, smooth,
Suave,
suave one.
Suave.
Where Steve Martin plays the imbecile as part of one of their cons.
Yes.
And I love it.
Directed by Frank Oz.
It's a really funny, entertaining screwball con, harkening back to those like Alec Guinness movies
Absolutely.
and stuff.
Dealing comedies. Yep.
I think that in On Dangerous Ground, the Steven Seagal movie, he's the evil oil baron.
Oh, God.
Who, even Michael Caine can't save. Like, there's a speech at the end, like this 7-minute speech about how we have to protect our oceans. And I'm coming from Steven Seagal. It's kind of a joke, and it's just like it's so funny to watch because like you just feel sad for Michael Caine. It's just like, oh God, why is he being wasted in this god awful movie? It's like, but he does everything he can with it.
It bought me my brownstone on the Upper East Side.
Yeah, exactly. That's damn right. That's why. Yeah.
Oh, there's Inception.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
sure.
Inception,
Yeah.
is another supporting role.
And he's also in Interstellar
Yeah.
for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Chris Nolan, was a huge fan of
Absolutely.
Michael Caine. It's
Rightly
great
so.
that he.
Dunkirk.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Dunkirk,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
Mona Lisa, he was in.
Oh
Neil
yeah, he's
Jordan's
very good. Mona Lisa.
right?
Mona Lisa's a good movie. The Neil Jordan movie.
And of course, The Hand.
Oh,
Oh
God.
yeah.
Yeah, the Oliver Stone movie that's not even in the Oliver Stone collection.
A
Yeah.
movie that was on we bought a used VHS recorder in 1982 from somebody, and it came with a little stack of tapes. And one of the movies that the former owner had recorded was The Hand off
Genius.
HBO.
Genius.
And that scene when he loses his hand.
Yeah,
and, like,
well, that's
so
the dopiest thing. He's a cartoonist,
Yes.
and he's waving
His
the
hand out
car
the
around him,
window.
and then it slices his hand off. Oh, and then his hand haunts him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disembodied hand.
That was another movie that was in that early Warner Brothers home video, like that first wave of stuff on home video was The Hand, which was also the first and last time I ever saw The Hand. And it's also not easy to find because I know that Oliver Stone is not a fan of that movie. Yeah. And so he always talks about Salvador being his first directorial, but it's not. It's The Hand.
The Hand. And then there's a Bridge Too Far, the World War II
Yes.
movie about Operation Market Garden, when he's in there with a cast of everybody
Cast of thousands,
in
yeah.
England.
Everyone in England is in that movie.
Is in it.
The entire
The
population
entire
of England. That's true. Well, he was really good friends with Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman while he was never considered for James Bond. That's kind of how he got the role of Harry Palmer. But he did some he was in some of their other movies, particularly Harry Saltzman, who was a good friend of his. And Harry Saltzman tried to fire him off a couple of movies too. I mean, he had him under contract. Harry Saltzman had him under contract early on. He was putting him in some real crap. So Friday, we got a case for Alfie to be made, I think. I would go to the mattresses for Get Carter. Italian Job is a great pick too. Steve,
There's
are
Gambit
those
also.
what?
Gambit,
There's Gambit.
another great.
So I mean, where do we go with this? I mean,
This is tough
this
because those are all terrific movies. I love all of them.
I mean, I hate to say it as much as I really would push for Get Carter. I think Alfie's the right play because that is Friday tends to be the one that brings it all together.
Yeah.
It's the rug
Yeah.
that ties the room together. It's like usually that's the one that is the most mainstream, the most.
I think I could go along with
So
that.
I mean, I kind of would go with Alfie begrudgingly.
Yeah, the only argument I'd make for Get Carter is that it's different from the other movies that we've selected for the week. The other ones are like Man Who Would Be King is lighter, and Muppet Christmas Carol is a lighter film.
You think?
Sleuth, is more of a fun entertainment. Where Get Carter is more of that gritty. Shows you that
a different side of Michael Caine.
That different side.
Whereas
of Michael Caine.
Italian Job is more in the vein of the other stuff we picked. I would agree with that. So, were you thinking Alfie or Get Carter?
That was my argument for Get Carter, but I love Alfie too. So I'm good.
Why don't we just do Get Alfie?
Get Alfie.
Get
Alfie.
Alfie Carter.
How about we do the Muppets in Get Carter?
We've talked up
the Muppets Get Carter.
Drink it. Drink it down. Let's go Alfie. We talked about Get Carter a lot. I recommend, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But let's put on Alfie on the 4:30 movie.
And Get Carter may be too violent for some of our younger viewers.
Certainly too violent for me.
But okay. So I think Friday would be Alfie. So Monday.
Right. Monday is The Man Who Would Be King.
Tuesday,
Sleuth.
Wednesday,
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Thursday, Hannah and Her Sisters, and Friday is Alfie.
Alfie.
This has been Caine is Able week.
What's it all about?
This has been Michael Caine week.
Raising Caine?
Raising Caine week. But I'm so glad we were able to do this.
It's almost the Caine Mutiny.
I'm so glad we could do this because we're all huge fans of Michael Caine here at the 4:30 movie, and I think what you find now too is like, a lot of the younger generation of movie viewers aren't as familiar with anybody who hasn't been in an MCU movie. So it's good to sort of.
Well, but unlike a lot of these older generation actors, Caine is as relevant as ever, and he, those Dark Knight movies were hugely succeful.
But he seems to have slowed down lately. He hasn't been doing a ton.
Yeah.
And he used to be. He was in like 6 movies a year.
Yeah.
And he was on like a Hackman schedule.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done a lot lately. He seems to be getting a little more discerning. But there are plenty of Michael Caine movies.
He is in his 80s, so.
He is in his 80s. God, you forget, because we grew up on all these people.
Yeah.
So it's like they seem like they're immortal,
Yeah.
because we've been watching them since we were young, and
they've been old as long as we've been watching them.
Yeah, exactly. Like Max von Sydow and Hannah and Her Sisters. My God, this is a guy. He looks. We've talked about this before. It's like he, the four-eyed raven in Game of Thrones. He's been that guy for since. Since
he was
doing
in his
the Bergman
30s.
movies,
Yeah.
it's amazing. He never seems to age. When Force Awakens, it's
Right.
So anyway. Okay, this is not Max von Sydow week. It's Michael Caine week, and I want to thank our 4:30 movie hosts, Steve Melching, Darren Docterman, Ashley E. Miller, and myself for joining. So Bill Ritter. Back there, who we want to give a very special thanks to, our producer and who makes us sound so good every week. What's your Michael Caine pick?
Ipcris File.
Yeah, Ipcris File. Did we pick that on Spy Week?
We talked about it on Spy Week, but it's great.
You pick it?
Excellent
Yeah, I
choice.
picked it.
Ipcris
Oh,
File is a
it's
great pick. Can't go wrong with Ipcris File or any of the 3 Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Actually, it is weird he was never in a Harry Potter movie, right?
That's
It's
true, actually.
He should have been in
Great
Defense of the
English
Dark Arts
actor
teacher.
who's never been in a Harry Potter movie.
Welcome to the Dark Arts.
They got confused. He was in Harry Palmer. And they're like, oh, he's been in one of those. No, that was Harry Palmer. Yeah, Defense of the Dark Arts punches him. We don't need no spells. Okay, so anyway, thank you all for joining us for the 4:30 movie. If you're a fan of this podcast, you may want to check out Electric Surge's other podcasts, including Inglorious Trexperts, the only podcast for Star Trek fans with a life, every Saturday, Rebel and the Rogue, a Star Wars podcast every Tuesday, and of course, Best Movies Never Made every other Monday. You can also check out our podcast on video. On Electric Video, on because video killed the radio star. So I don't know if people are still going to be listening.
Well, hopefully it won't kill us.
They're going to be
Hopefully
watching.
not.
They're going to be watching us, and so of course you can check that on Electric Now. Currently on Distro TV and Stirr. Soon to be on the Electric Now app, and other we'll be announcing soon. But definitely check us out because you'll get all kinds of cool well, not really bonus content. You'll get to see
visual content.
You'll get to see us gesticulate,
Right.
and stuff. And of course, you get wonderful gems from the Electric archives, including Leverage, The Librarians, The Outpost, and many other movies and TV shows. So hopefully you'll check that out. And speaking of checking out, why don't you check out Apple Podcasts, where you can rate us 5 stars for how we've entertained you over the last 59 minutes and 32 seconds. That's for Russell Crowe week.
Right.
And again, a very special thanks to everyone here at Electric Surge for making this podcast possible. We will see you next week for an all-new episode of the 430 Movie. Until then, Eyewitness News starts now.
This episode is brought to you by NCOM. Live your life on the grid with the makers of Space Paranoids.
This podcast is a production of the Electric Surge Network.